Welcome to another episode of Fill in the Blank podcast. I'm here with first-time Fill in the Blank guest, Brooks Holloway.
Thank you for having me, Robbie.
You're welcome, Brooks. Well, let's talk about something. What comes to your mind when I say plant perception?
How we, the people, believe, or how we think of plants.
Yes, well, it's actually
that's
it's a base. I mean, what's perception really? Like the whole
how we
idea
look.
of how we look at things.
Yeah.
So can you believe that there's someone out there who's a psychic that can believe that he can understand what plants are thinking and saying?
Yeah, nah, that doesn't seem.
Sounds like bullcrap, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's find out a little bit more about this. Plant perception or biocommunication is the paranormal idea that plants are sentient, that they respond to humans in a manner that amounts to ESP, and that they experience pain and fear. So this is the idea behind Sausage Party, you would think. That movie about food where everyone's getting chopped. If you cut lettuce...
I only got through like half of that movie before I turned it off.
If you cut lettuce, does it have emotions? Is that lettuce screaming on another reality somewhere? Do you believe that there's another, or do you believe that there's just one person that can talk to plants, like the weird kid that, hangs out sky and like wipes his booger on the walls or something? Like there's a kid out there that can talk to plants. We can talk to ghosts apparently. Why can't we talk to plants?
Well, I mean, I believe in science, so unless this guy's got scientific evidence.
Why can't a cabbage leaf teach you psychics, bro? The whole idea behind that.
No. So
the idea is not accepted by the scientific community. I wonder why.
Yep.
As plants lack nervous systems, paranormal claims in regard to plant perception are considered to be pseudoscience by many in the scientific community. The idea is distinct from measured plant perception and chemical communication. So we know about, my kind of knowledge about this is plants have a type of, they release chemicals. Some of them have a type of way of communicating with each other. There's actually a movie, I forgot what the title of it was, but where the plants kill a bunch of people. It was like there was something in the wind that was causing people to commit suicide. Like the plants were basically doing.
It was something sci-fi though, right?
No, it was like a weird like horror flick.
Oh.
Like all these people, like one dude just like your body immediately becomes like a zombie. And then you just immediately...
It's something in the air?
Your body... Yeah. It was weird. And they didn't figure that out until like the ending of the movie. All these they thought it was a giant terrorist attack. And it turns out it was the plants that were like speaking to each other. So what you had to do is you had to tape all the doors shut and all the windows. You weren't able to like... Kind of like Bird Box where you seal yourself off from the light. Mm-hmm. You had to seal yourself off from nature. Like if any wind got through or like a large amount of it, you're just done. It was in the air. So what happened was, like I remember one of the distinct moments, like it only happened to giant groups of people.
Huh.
Like so if you were in a giant group, you'd be attacked. It was weird. And like all you see is this wind come by and this one dude just stops, walks in front of a lawnmower, turns it on, lays down in front of it and just lets it run him over.
Oh, isn't that's Bird Box, right?
No, that Bird Box is a completely different movie where they had those.
Well, that
spirits.
sounds like something in Bird
Box is nuts. The only good part's 10 minutes of it, and then it's the beginning when everyone's like getting.
Oh crazy. Yeah.
But it's like that idea where everyone starts doing stuff to kill themselves.
Yeah.
But it's on the idea of wind. Like the whole wind, like that, the plants are literally trying to kill you. And there are trees in South Africa. We started to notice that, like a central nervous system or a nervous system in our brains, plants can communicate through the roots.
Right.
Oh no, yeah. To each other.
Well, I believe because like with their roots, like they can feel like the or not feel, okay. They know when they're getting close to another root and when to like where to go because of how like compact the soil is.
Yeah.
So it all depends on that. So that's where my understanding of that comes from.
I started thinking this was kind of bullcrap, but now I'm like thinking more into it. I'm actually starting to believe it a little bit because it's got to think. If our brains are like radio waves, like right now there's radio waves all around us. You know, there's stuff like with your cell phone and stuff with the lamp, and there's all these different frequencies that we're just not able to see. They're on another, like you can think of it as another perspective or another reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that there isn't a special person out there. Like if you can see through the veil and talk to ghosts, then maybe you can hit the same wave frequency or the same channel as a plant. It's hard to not think. I mean, you got to think plants, they evolve. You know, like if a certain type of bug or certain type of animal starts eating a lot of a plant can learn to adapt to release a certain chemical that ruins their taste, so the animal can get sick and get affected by it. That's known.
Adaptation, yeah.
So it's hard to believe that plant perception isn't normal, but it's the fact it's the paranormal. So it's the idea like it could be possible, but it's just there's no evidence right now that would base us on that. There's, you know, I could sit there and just rattle off like I just did. I'm kind of convincing you in a way.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I still fall in the line of, you know, we have to eat meat to survive, and you can't feed your cat a vegan diet. I mean, I love vegans and all, but hey. So let's talk about some of the early research. The notion that plants are capable of feeling emotions was first recorded in 1848 when Gustav Fechner, a German experimental psychologist, suggested that plants are capable of emotions and that one could promote healthy growth with talk, attention, attitude, and affection. This is seen by you hear someone that talks to their plants or yells at their plants or does something, it releases carbon dioxide from your breath, and plants grow bigger from that. That's a chemical linked effect. But some people kind of fall in the logic that if you talk to your plants and treat it nicely, you know, you develop a relationship and that plant will grow. I did it as a kid with the tomato plant. You know, you named him Fern or whatever the hell his name was.
And I mean, the more of a relationship you have with your plant, you know, you're going to be more excited when it comes, you know, and grows. So you're going to notice it when it grows and how much it grows and how it looks and stuff like that. So you're going to care for it. So it's like a big cycle. Maybe
you would probably be the best farmer in the world if you had plant perception. You got to think, probably. If you can talk to your crops, be like, hey, what the hell are you guys doing? I understand we're going through a drought right now, but I don't got money to spray you guys with a hose. But it's like, you know, I talked to my tomato plant when I was a little kid. I had a tomato plant. I named them. And then it's like the whole idea of you're watching something you planted, you took the time to care for, and it grows into something. It's the whole idea of like having a child. You watch it literally grow in front of your eyes and you develop a bond with it. So it's not, and especially my great-grandfather, that man had a talent for growing tomato plants. He had these tomatoes that were size of like a swollen prostate. Like these things were freaking the size of baseballs, man. And they were so juicy, good tomatoes. Not the prostate, but the tomatoes.
Yeah.
And the whole idea, like, he took the time to care for them. He went out there, trimmed the leaves, trimmed the dead parts off. And, you know, I end up being gone for a weekend and my tomato plant's dead because someone forgets to water it, you know. And it's the whole idea of, like, how much are you willing to put in the time, like a bonsai tree, when you trim it and grow it. That takes patience and skill.
Yeah.
So you got to think, are they just on another level or another kind of existence than us? Those people are just on another, like, kind of higher skill level with patience than we are. And the people that can't have plants or watch plants die, just forget to water them, are just on a different level.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess on a different level. I mean, it has a lot to do with background and rural and urban areas.
And how busy you are.
And your schedule. Yeah.
Like a mom with 4 kids is not going to have time to garden or do any type of peaceful stuff. That's our old people in retirement. You know, they talk about the waste of water that we have. The one thing I don't like is I'll start taking shorter showers when the golf course stops getting watered every freaking 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. And you work on one, so you would know.
Yeah.
Is that grass even real?
What do you mean, is it even real?
I know some grass places that are artificial turf.
No.
So they don't have to water their shit all the time.
No, it's real.
It's hard to look at all the other plants that are dying around us, and then we look at the golf course, how green it is. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, but I mean, the golf course is a horrible nutrient. They let off phosphate and phosphorus and nitrogen and potassium and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness.
Into the water, and it's not good.
Don't drink the water.
No, that's why I don't keep the fish that I catch there. Because they're all like deformed and stuff from all the nutrients and fertilizers.
They got
and
mutations.
stuff. Yeah.
So Indian scientist Jagadish Chandra Bose began to conduct experiments on plants in the year 1900. Bose invented various devices and instruments to measure electrical responses in plants. He stated from his experiments that an electrical spasm occurs during the end for a plant life. According to biologist Patrick Jedds, in his investigations on response in general, Bose had found that even ordinary plants and their different organs were sensitive, exhibiting under mechanical or other stimuli an electric response indicative of excitation. So a plant getting excited. Much how like you get excited for this podcast, you got to think a plant gets that same emotional or stimulant effect that our brains experience, but we just experience it in a way that others can perceive it.
Right, exactly, and I'm sure the plant shows it by, turning its color to a more distinct color, or growing, or facing a certain way, or something.
You just made me come to the realization that maybe when you talk about the winters getting depressing and colors kind of fading, the plants are getting depressed and it's causing us to be depressed.
Yeah, there's definitely probably some kind of trend there.
Like, you gotta think orange. People are like, the orange is so beautiful. I'm like, that plant is sad as shit on its way out the door. And then, like, when all the leaves are gone, it's just dead. It's just like, literally, we literally talk about plants in life and death form.
Uh-huh.
And that plant's dead.
Yeah.
So why can't they have thoughts and emotions? So one visitor to his laboratory, the vegetarian playwright George Bernard Shaw, was intensely disturbed upon witnessing a demonstration in which a cabbage had convulsions as it boiled to death. Oh my God.
I want to see the evidence.
Do you want to know? You know what convulsions are, right?
No, not really.
The whole idea of like it's like seizuring out before you die. Like
I thought those were compulsions, not convulsions.
No, compulsions are like stuff that makes you do something. That's a compulse.
Okay.
But convulsions are like you do that usually before you die. You're going into shock. You're like your body's like having like a seizure type thing.
Word.
It's very, very painful.
Okay, That's crazy.
So your cabbage, I just had.
So it's pretty much like
I just had cabbage like 10 minutes ago. I feel really bad because I sliced it with a knife, and I guarantee you, it was probably screaming its ass off.
It's pretty much like Sausage Party.
It is like Sausage Party. The whole idea of plant perception is Sausage Party. This is what Seth Rogen was reading before he wrote Sausage Party. He was like, "Oh my God, imagine." So in the 1960s. Cleve Baxter, an interrogation specialist with the CIA, conducted a research that led him to believe that plants can communicate with other life forms. Baxter's interest in the subject began in February 1966 when he tried to measure the rate at which water rises from a philodendron's root into its leaves because of a polygraph or lie detector that can actually measure electrical resistance, which would alter when the plant was watered. He attached a polygraph to one of the plant's leaves. Baxter stated that, to the immense surprise, the tracing began to show a pattern typical of the response you get when a subject, a human, to an emotional stimulation of short duration. So
that was too much for me. What?
This guy hooked a lie detector, polygraph test.
To a plant?
To a plant's leaves. When he watered it, the same electrical impulse that would show our emotion
right.
of same emotional stimulation that we would experience happened with the plant as well. So it was
after it was watered?
Yes, so it actually reacted emotionally to the water being poured on it.
Okay.
So now plants, we have noticed that they do have emotions. There is evidence a little bit behind it, but it's not a whole lot.
Right. Yeah.
Because we have to do it on such a weird frequency by using a lie detector test.
Yeah, that is weird.
But imagine every time you walk by your plant and it needs to be watered, it's like, hey,
yeah,
asshole, you thirsty too? Me? Yeah, I'm thirsty too. So in 1975, K.A. Horowitz, D.C. Lewis, and E.I. Gastriger published an article in Science giving their results when repeating one of Baxter's effects. Plants' response to the killing of brine shrimp in boiling water. The researchers grounded the plants to reduce electrical interface and rinsed them to remove dust particles. As a control, 3 of 5 pipettes contained brine shrimp, while the remaining 2 only had water. The pipettes were delivered to the boiling water at random. The investigation used a total of 60 brine shrimp deliveries to boiling water. While Baxter had only used 13, positive correlations did not occur at a rate great enough to be considered statistically significant. So all these 3 scientists had pipettes. 3 of them were filled with brine shrimp.
Okay.
2 of them were not. They were filled with just water. 60 times they used one of these pipettes and squeezed a little bit of it, of the brine shrimp into the water, or brine shrimp or water, into this boiling water, while they were testing a plant's emotional response using a lie detector test. So, this is the idea that the plant can sense another organism's pain.
Oh.
So
okay.
let's get to the results. That sounds like a little far-reach thing, but the investigation used a total of 60 brine shrimp, like we said. This is to bolster more evidence. Other controlled experiments that attempted to replicate Baxter's findings have also been produced negative results. So there was no evidence that the plant reacted to. I think there was no results. Yeah.
Well, was the shrimp mixed with water?
There was shrimp boiling, and then there was water in other pipettes. So you got to think, one has organisms in it, and they were testing the water. So they would squeeze it, look at the plant, see the lie detector. If it had an emotional reaction, maybe that was water that went in there. So they got nothing from water. There was no change. They were basically watching the change. Is it going to change if we put an alive organism in there? Could the plant sense that animal was dying?
Okay.
So, there is no objective scientific evidence for the existence of such complex behavior in plants. The recent spate of popular literature on plant consciousness appears to have been triggered by experiments with a lie detector, subsequently reported and embellished in a book called The Secret Life of Plants. Unfortunately, when scientists in the discipline of plant psychology attempted to repeat the experiments using either identical or improved equipment, the results were uniformly negative. Further investigation has shown that the original observations probably arose from defective measuring procedures. So the guy that originally did the test, now they're saying that it was just his faulty equipment, that the lie detector test in the 1900s wasn't as good as what we have now. So, maybe it was all he.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, it should be, reevaluated the test after with new technology and stuff like that.
There's a lot of stuff that should be brought back in, like
Yeah.
the DSM criteria for psychology to diagnose a mental disorder is from 2010. So we don't even know. This has almost been 10 years from now. So. John M. Chemetz noted that Baxter had not used proper controls in his experiments. When controls were used, no plant reactions to thoughts or threats were observed. So the television show Mythbusters performed experiments in Season 4, Episode 18 in 2006 to verify or disapprove the concept. The test involved connecting plants to a polygraph galvanometer and employing an actual and imagined harm upon the plants or upon others in the plant's vicinity. The galvanometer showed a reaction about 1/3 of the time. The experimenters who were in the room with the plant posted that the vibrations of their actions or the room itself could have affected the polygraph.
Yeah, no kidding.
After isolating the plant, the polygraph showed a response slightly less than 1/3 of the time. Later experiments with an EEG failed to detect anything. The show concluded that the results were not repeatable and the theory was not true. Then Daniel Chemetz, of a 2012 book, What a Plant Knows, reevaluates plant senses from a scientific perspective. Other things of this that lead to are plant rights, the idea that if a plant is a living organism, it should have rights, and just it's a pseudoscience. What's your conclusion on this? What do you think after me just reading all these factual evidence of scientific studies on plant perception? Do you believe it's another idea that should be reevaluated, like you were saying?
Yeah, I think if it hasn't already been reevaluated, it definitely should be. But I mean, from the information that you gave me, no, I don't think that plants do have, emotions, and I don't think that that's a very big issue in today's world. Even though, with vegans and stuff
Well,
like that.
you might not be popular in the vegan community,
Yeah, no.
but what's the difference? So now I'm just going to yell at vegans saying you don't understand that tofu you're eating is screaming right now, saying...
Right. Like, I was thinking the other day, what if that, whatever meat-free, what if that was made from a cycle of 100 guys from start to finish? What if that was made from that and all those guys were like 100% meat eaters? And what if
They sweated and the meat that through their sweat landed on the tofu and then you ate the tofu, you technically be going against your vegan law.
Bro, what?
You gotta think. If the guy who maybe prepped the chicken before he touched your tofu.
Yeah.
I have been to a restaurant with a vegan. It is the hardest decision for that person to make. They usually just stick with a water and a salad.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they gotta ask, was the salad cooked near any meats? Depends on how far you go into veganism. How deep are you into the vegan barrier, the vegan code?
Yeah.
It's not like Scott Pilgrim. If you accidentally have soy or some type of milk, dairy product from a cow, you lose all your vegan powers and you can't go and punch a hole in the moon. But the whole idea is, if you were to go truly vegan, it's almost impossible because so many things. Jello is not vegan. Did you know that? I thought Jello, it was no animals or nothing in that. But you know what's in it?
What?
Collagen. You know what the collagen's made of? Grounded up animal bones. They
Oh,
literally
cool.
ground up animal bones and make gelatin out of it. I did not know that. My vegan friend told me, oh, I can't eat gelatin. I'm like, why? There's no meat in it. Or no,
like
nothing,
what?
no fish, nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's grounded up animal bones. Look it up. I'm like, well, I guess I'll never be vegan because I love the shit out of some Jello. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, there's vegan peanut butter. It's, there's types of stuff like that. You can't have normal peanut butter. They have to have a powdered type peanut butter because it's vegan. Because it's literally straight pressed peanuts. When you get the peanut butter you have now, it's made with some type of dairy stuff too.
Right, and then you got the whole organic deal as well.
Organic and GMO, don't even get me started on that, man. There's apples at Harris Teeter that are 3 pounds, dude. So it's hard to think they're not injecting bull testosterone in those things.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's difficult to think that really following a vegan diet, I give those people credit and props to do so, but I don't think they should be as productive as they are in trying to change someone else's way of thinking. And not to get the whole conversation on veganism, even though we just talked about plants having emotions and feelings, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, I believe. I believe that all these atoms, like we're discovering new stuff about science all the time, and the fact that plants might be able to sense things, I just don't think it's on the scale that we can correlate to with our way of sensing things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, give me the science behind it, and
you show me the proof.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me the tit on an almond.
Dude, that's from the ranch.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, that
hell
was
yeah,
good.
you got
that was good.
All right, my cousin downstairs actually grew up going over Sam Elliott's house. Isn't that nuts? I was like, dude, you hung out with the guy from the ranch.
That's dope. Well, he was a big like country or western movie
That
star.
man does not eat plants.
God no.
Remember he said about that one guy, the only way that John Wayne was eating a salad would have lettuce on his face is if he was punching a salad. So anybody out there that wants to look up plant perception, it's definitely a little bit of a rabbit hole to give you a quick laugh and might actually change your mind. I definitely think a little bit differently about plants having emotions.
Definitely.
So thanks for being on, Brooks, and we'll get you on again soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you.